Thank you for standing by. The webinar will start momentarily. In the meantime, please take a moment to join our Q&A box on slido.com. To raise questions, open a browser either on your mobile device, desktop, or laptop and point to slido.com. Type the code 3553324 and click the blue arrow to join the Q&A box. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code flashed on your screens right now to get you directed to our Q&A box on slido.com. Thank you, and please continue to stand by. Good morning and welcome to the 2022 Year-End Tax Activities Webinar hosted by Titanium Technologies. At this time, all participants are on listen-only mode. For your attendance to be recorded, please update your name tag to show your first and last name followed by your company name. Questions will be taken at the end of certain topics within today's webinar. To raise questions and participate in the activities, open a browser either on your mobile device, desktop, or laptop and point to slido.com. Type the code 3553324 and click the blue arrow to join the Q&A box. This call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this point. My name is Jubel, your webinar moderator for today, and I'm thrilled to introduce our speakers on today's session. We have Sir J.M. Belza of Solution Design, Ms. Mary Adlawan of Payroll Operations, along with Ms. Lizbeth Sigua and Ms. Raven Macabenta, to impart their knowledge and to provide us with an overview of how we are to utilize the ePayroll system for the year-end tax activities. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of our senior management team, along with our founder and CEO, Jerry Tiang. Also with us today are my co-moderators, Ms. Nice Magarang and Ms. Vivian Tiang. Showcasing our agenda this morning, we have the following topics in store for you. We have topic 1, how to conduct tax reconciliation, followed by encoding previous employer information and changing the earning classification. Topic 4 contains all about BIR 2316 and the Alpha List, along with generated reports from the ePayroll system. Topic 5 talks about PHIC 1% differential. We're here today to provide a refresher on the key steps to fulfill a successful year-end tax activity using the ePayroll system. And with that in mind, at the end of this session, our dear participants should be able to, 1, list key components to properly conduct tax reconciliation and other year-end tax activities. 2, to compile all relevant documents and reports pertaining to the key components. And 3rd, to evaluate one's readiness in independently doing year-end tax activities with the ePayroll system. So I would like to invite our participants. I can see we have 9 in the room. And I'd like to invite everyone, all our participants, for starters, to join our slido.com. This is also where we can raise our questions. And well, to start our session for today, I am going to ask you questions to get your pulse on certain things. Please open a browser and direct it to slido.com, either on your mobile device, on your phones, tablet, laptop, desktop, and key in or type in the code 3553324 on the code field. Click on the blue arrow to join our pulse check. So let's see how many participants are joining the slido.com, our Q&A box. This is also where you can raise your questions later on when we start opening the floor for questions. So let's see for the first question that I have for our participants this morning. What's your role, your user role in the year-end tax activities? Well, what's your user role? Is it pan encoder, patron approver, payroll processor, or approver, processor, auditor? What's your role in the year-end activity? I'm getting a response here. We have payroll processor. Oh, okay. In the previous webinar that we had a lot. We also had a lot of payroll processor that joined the last webinar we had. So let's see if there are other user roles aside from payroll processor joining today's call. So if you are on your mobile device, just open a browser, simply open a browser and point it to slido.com. Key in the code 3553324, and you'll be prompted immediately with this question. What's your user role in the year-end tax activities? So I'd like to get the pulse so that our dear speakers would also know the general population, the user role of the population that we have for this morning. So we have, we only have, I think we only have payroll processor. I think the general population, I think most of our participants today are involved in the payroll as processors or approvers. So let's see. I have another question. Question number 2. So if you are attending this, since you are attending this, how would you rate yourself? So let's do a self-rating. How would you rate your readiness in doing your year-end tax activities? So using ePayroll, and you're going to conduct your tax reconciliation, your year-end tax activities, how confident or how ready are you to do it independently? So let's rate ourselves. The lowest rating or on the left side of our scoreboard is I'm not ready at all. And then the rightmost part is I'm prepared and ready. So to our payroll processors, if you are on slido.com, you should be able to see the rating and you can select your rate, your self rate. How would you rate yourself in your readiness to conduct your year-end tax activities? So let's have this like a benchmark today. So we're going to have, this is the initial general rating of our participants this morning. So better rate yourselves now at this point. Join slido.com. I highly entice you, recommend that you join slido.com. This is also where you can raise your questions. If you have any questions later on, it's going to be open for Q&A. And this is also where you're going to lodge your questions. So that's slido.com, key in the code 3553324. Click on the blue arrow to join the activity right now, the self-rating activity. We're getting a rating, it's 2. Okay, we have a general score of 2.0. So this is like on the lower end of our rating scale. Let's have other participants, other joiners, other participants who would like to rate themselves now. The question is, how do you rate your readiness in independently doing your year-end tax activities? So if you are on your again mobile device, laptop, tablet, desktop, open a browser, go to slido.com and key in the code 3553324. You'll immediately see this question and the rating. So all you just need to do is select the rating and then click on submit. So we have a general rating of 2. Okay, so if we are going to assume, so this is going to be our initial reading for the population that we have in today's webinar. So we're going to check at the end of the webinar if this rating increases, because we have our subject matter experts and our speakers today who will share their knowledge and expertise in conducting the tax activities. So I highly recommend that we listen closely and also ask your questions, ask away if whatever confusion, doubt, anything of the sort that you'd like to raise, please ask away. And you can ask your questions again on slido.com. Remember the code 3553324. Stay on that page for your questions. And then you can just type in your question and click on send. It's going to be saved on our Q&A box. So let's proceed. Let's check if our first speaker for today, we have our first speaker today. She's going to talk about how to conduct tax reconciliation in compensation and benefits. And without further ado, let me introduce Ms. Mary Adlawan. Ms. Mary,
Hi,
you
Ms.
may
Jo.
proceed.
Good
Floor is
morning.
yours.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. My topic for today is how to conduct tax reconciliation and compensation and benefits. To conduct tax reconciliation, we have the following activities. First, we have to identify the income subjected to tax. Second, income that are part of the 90K tax ceiling. Third, the de minimis income. Fourth, the fringe benefits income. Fifth, reported tax exempted income. Sixth, non-reported tax exempted income. Seventh, monthly remittance report on compensation or 1601C, BIR form 1601C. Then, and the last one is employee tax type, which is minimum wage earner or non-minimum wage earner. Speaking of gross compensation income, it composed the following. All remuneration or payments received by the employees from their employers for their services rendered. Salaries and wages, monitoring, and other allowances. Next slide, please. Hello. Then, to identify the gross compensation income, it composes compensation income, such as salaries and wages, honoraria, allowances, taxable bonuses, fringe benefits, other allowances subject to de minimis income, and other is taxable compensation income. Taxable income includes the following: basic salary pay, overtime pay, holiday pay, night shift differential pay, other allowances not mentioned in the de minimis income, other bonuses in excess of the 90K tax ceiling. It includes incentives, 14th month pay, and so on. Speaking of de minimis benefits or income, they are not subject to withholding tax for the following conditions. First, monetize and use vacation leave credits to employees not exceeding to 10 days, medical cost allowances to dependent not exceeding to 1,500 per semester or 3,000 per year, price subsidy equivalent to 2,000 per month, allowance not exceeding, it's a uniform allowance not exceeding 6,000 per annum, actual medical assistance for the maximum of 10,000 per annum. This is 10,000 per annum. Laundry allowance, 300 per month. Then employee achievement awards not exceeding to 10,000 per annum. Example, loyalty award. So next. Has gift giving during Christmas or anniversaries not exceeding to 5,000 per year. The daily meal allowance for overtime work equivalent to 25% of the minimum wage rate per region. So for example of this, let's say for example, if an employee assigned in other regions, so the basis for the meal allowances is the minimum wage for that certain region. Like for example, in region 7, so the minimum wage earner in region 7 is the basis for competition, the meal allowance for overtime work. So the next received by an employee by
Seems that we're having some connection issue with Miss Mary's line. She will be rejoining us. In the meantime, as she had previously discussed, she's been able to talk about the de minimis benefits, and then also with the taxable income and the gross compensation income. So once she gets back, she'll be continuing with the other items under de minimis benefits. Thank you for standing by. To all our participants, we have Miss Mary Adlawan back in the webinar. Miss Mary.
Sorry for the interruption. So, I don't know that I was already disconnected and the Zoom. So, okay. Where did I stop, Miss Jo? Yung hindi niyo na po naririnig yung ano ko kanina.
Uh, on this slide, Miss Mary.
Slide. Sorry.
Yes.
I don't know that I was already disconnected. Okay. How to conduct tax reconciliation in compensation for our continuation about the de minimis income. So, aside that I mentioned in the previous slide, so to continue with, we have a gift given during Christmas and major anniversary celebration not exceeding to 5,000 pesos per year. Then, the daily minimum allowance for overtime work equivalent to 25% of the minimum wage per region. For example of this, let's say you have an employee assigned in Region 7, or for example here in Cebu City. So the overtime meal allowance will also depend on the minimum wage earner here in Central Visayas, which is 25% of that regular minimum wage rate. So in other regions, so it depends on the other minimum in NCR. So minimum wage earner from NCR was the basis for the 25% meal allowances. Next is the benefits received. If you have an agreement or union agreement, so maximum of 10,000 pesos per year will also not subject to tax. In ePayroll, our taxable income reported in under 1601C includes the following: basic salary, overtime fee, holiday premium, night shift differential, other allowances not mentioned in the de minimis income or code, then income with the series from 101 to 105, fixed income with fixed level, income series 106 to 115, ad hoc income with fixed level, income 116 to 125, still ad hoc income with ad hoc level. Next slide. So another is incomes with the series 201 to 205, fixed income with fixed level, income 206 up to 215, ad hoc income with fixed level, income 216 to 25, ad hoc income with ad hoc level, income 226 to 230, fixed income with fixed level, income 231 to 240, ad hoc income with fixed level, income 241 to 250, ad hoc income with ad hoc level, income 251 to 255, fixed income with fixed level, income 256 to 265, ad hoc income with fixed level, and income 266 and 275, ad hoc income with ad hoc level. So those are the series number or part different income in ePayroll. For the bonuses, we have an income in the series 301 to 205, fixed income with fixed level. Income 306 to 315, ad hoc income with fixed level. Income 316 to 325, ad hoc income with ad hoc level. So these parts of pay code in ePayroll belongs to 90K tax ceiling. So in excess of the 90K tax ceiling, automatic, the income is subject to tax. Tax exempted in income, we have the following. All income aside from the defined de minimis income are part of the tax exempted income. So we have here another one is the minimum wage earner. All income from the minimum wage earners are not part of the tax, such as basic pay, overtime pay, holiday pay, night shift differential pay, and hazard pay. So all that income from minimum wage earner are not subject to tax. So other income not mentioned in that particular incomes, list of income are subject to tax, such as commission, sales incentive, other allowances like transportation. So they are part of tax, withholding tax. Next. For the tax deductibles, it includes SSS contribution, PhilHealth contribution, Pag-ibig contribution, maximum of 100 per month, and the union membership pay. For the Pag-ibig, some employees have exceeding their contribution to 100, let's say 500 pesos per month. So the tax covered as for the tax deductible is only 100. So 400 is subject to tax. This is the basis for our annualized tax computation, tax table, from 2018 to 2022. For the income 250 and below, it's exempt from withholding tax. Above 250 to 400, the first 250 is exempt to tax, then the excess is subject to 25%, which is equivalent to your tax due. Third one is the 400 to 800,000. First 400,000 tax due is equal to 30,000. In excess of 400,000 is subject to 25% tax rate. For the above 800,000 to 2 million, the first 800,000 have a fixed tax due for 130,000. In excess of 800,000 is subject to 30% tax rate. For above 2 million to 8 million, the first 2 million salaries have fixed tax of 490,000. In excess of 2 million is subject to 32% tax rate. For above 8 million, the first 8 million have a fixed tax of 2.41 million. In excess of the 8 million is subject to 35% tax rate. How to compute the tax due? For example, the gross compensation income from present employer is 450,000. Less SSEs, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and union dues, which is 20,800. Then 13th month pay and other bonuses just below na to 90K, so not subject tax. So they are part of the deductibles. The de minimis allowances worth 12,000. So total non-taxable income is 107,800. So the difference is that total taxable compensation income from present employer is 342,200. If an employee has previous employer where she has a taxable income of 150,000, so we will add on that. So plus 150,000, gross taxable compensation income is equals to 492,200. Less, so we're going to compute the tax due. So 492,000 belongs to 400,000 bracket, where in excess is subject to 25% of the tax rate. So 492,200 less 400,000 is equals, the excess is 92,000. So 92,000 is we will multiply this to 25%. So the result of that, we will add to the fixed rate of the first 400,000 income, which is 30,000. So an employee here has a total tax due of 53,000. So if that employee has a total tax withheld from January to November, for example, 43,000, so the remaining 10,000 is the tax payable for the month of December. These are the following reports that we are going to reconcile during year end. So Alpha List and 2316. So the gross income that reflect in Alpha List is equal to the gross income that we reported in the 1601C. The tax withheld from present employer is also equal to the tax paid that reflected in 1601C. The de minimis income on the Alpha List is also equal to the de minimis income reported in 1601C. Tax deductible and other non-taxable income in the Alpha List is also equal to the tax deductible and other non-taxable income and the 1601C. So that's how we conduct the tax reconciliation during year end. Ms. Chu?
Thank you, Miss Mary. So now that we have this illustration, we've illustrated here how the tax reconciliation is being done between the Alpha List and the 1601C. And Miss Mary had discussed all the components of doing the tax reconciliation. Now we're opening the floor for questions. And to raise questions, again, you may simply point your browser of any of your devices, be it on your mobile phones, tablet, laptops, or computers, point it to slido.com and key in the code or type in the code 3553324 to raise your questions. You just click on the blue arrow to join the Q&A box, and then you'll be prompted. You can ask a question, type in the question, and then click on send. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code flashed on your screens right now, and you'd be directed to the Q&A box. So to all our dear participants, if you have any questions at all, I'll be giving it a few minutes of our time today so that our participants can gather their thoughts and raise their questions, type in the questions in the Q&A box. Will be here. Your questions will be flashed right away on the screen so everyone can see what you're asking about. And our speakers today can immediately provide answers too. So again, you can point your browsers on your mobile devices, desktop, laptops to slido.com, key in the code 3553324, and ask your questions in the Q&A box. You can also use the QR code if you have a QR code scanner on your device. You can scan that code. It's going to bring you to the Q&A box automatically. It's going to route you there directly. So at this point, I don't see any questions on queue, but again, the floor is open. I'm going to give it another good 2 minutes for our participants to raise their questions if they have any doubts, anything to clarify. on our topic 1 from Miss Mary. So if you have anything to ask about tax reconciliation 1601C, the diagram that you've seen a while ago, or any of the activity components, please ask that away on slido.com. Code is 3553324. Miss Mary, over the years that you've handled tax reconciliation during the year end, what are the what would be the most challenging part in doing this like tax reconciliation? What's the most difficult part in your opinion? Oh, you're on mute, Miss Mary.
The reconciliation of the alkalist report against the 1601C report. So
Mhm.
it's the very crucial part of the year-end report. In terms of tax due, as long as you know how to compute the employee's tax with taxes, so it's no matter.
Okay. It's straightforward. It's just like a numbers game. It's straightforward as long as you know what you're computing for and the components, the different components. I
Yes.
see. Okay. Thanks, Miss Mary. That was my question. That was actually my question. Well then, I don't see any questions on the queue. So we'll go right away to our second topic today of our webinar, which is how to encode previous employer information on ePayroll. And this topic is going to be discussed in depth by Miss Raven Macabeta. Miss Raven, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Jubel. Good morning to all our participants today. For our next topic, we have how to encode previous employer information. So the objectives of this topic are the following. To increase familiarity on how to properly encode previous employer information in ePayroll. 2 is to understand the correct timing of encoding of the previous employer information of the employees. And lastly, to relate key concepts to the user's actual encoded data and derive system output. So encoding previous employer information, this is executed for new hire employees with previous employers within the year. New hire employee will submit their BIR 2316 from the previous employer to the current employer. And once we receive their 2316, payroll admins or HR that has an access to update previous employer information can proceed on encoding the details. So please see a sample of BIR 2316 report for your reference. Okay, next slide, please. So on our first page, we have encoding of previous employer information in ePayroll. We will be needing to encode employees' previous employer data on the system. That will be done on your end to consolidate the previous income of the employee within the year from the previous employer to the current employer. So step 1 is go to Master Files, then click Employees tab. Step 2, fill in the previous employer fields such as previous employer TIN number, previous YTD income, previous YTD bonus, previous YTD tax withheld, and previous tax year. For previous employer, you may refer on box 13 on BIR 2316, which is the employer's name. For previous employer TIN number, kindly refer on box 12, which is present employer's TIN number. For previous YTD income, it is box 27 if the employee's income is less than 250,000, or box 37 plus box 38 to box 49B less box 46 for employees with taxable compensation. For previous YTD bonus, you may refer on box 32 if employee has non-taxable compensation, or box 46 for employees with income equal or more than 250K. For previous YTD tax withheld, kindly refer on box 25A, which is the amount taxes withheld from present employer. And lastly, for previous tax year, kindly refer on box 1 for the year. And for our last step, click the update button to save. Next slide, please. So showing on the screen is a sample of encoded previous employer map on the 2316 report. For previous employer, we have ABC Company on box 13. For our previous employer TIN number, we have 004-502-431-000 on box 12. For previous YTD income, we have 149,121.91 on box 27. For previous YTD bonus, we have 16,418.49 on box 32. And for previous YTD tax withheld, we have box 25A, which is equal to 0. And for previous tax year, we have box 1 for 2022. Next slide, please. And for our second page, we need to fill out the previous employer template that is showing on the screen from column A to J. Please note that if an employee is a minimum wage earner on his previous employer, kindly encode his basic salary on column F. If non-MWE employee, you may encode it on column E. Next slide, please. So continuation of the previous employer template, we have columns K to T. Please ensure that all columns are completely filled out and the date format should be MMDDYYY. And for our next slide, we also included on our deck the mapping of 2316 report on the previous employer template. Column A, B, and D, it is on blank since the data will came from ePayroll, such as employees' ID numbers, status, and separation reason. Next slide, please. So this is a visual presentation of the mapping of 2316 report on the previous employer template. Once done with encoding on our previous employer template, please send it to Titanium for uploading to complete the fields on the updated presentation of our ALPALIS report. Next slide, please. So here are the important reminders. Number 1, previous employer information of new hire employees within the year should be encoded on the system before the last payroll of the year. 2, encoded amounts will be included in the computation of tax on the next applicable regular payroll processing. 3, latest encoded transaction will prevail. 4, no deletion of encoded transactions, especially if we already process it after encoding, or if we already process payroll after encoding employees' previous employer information. Number 5, plotting on previous employer template and encoding in ePayroll should be done both to correct and complete the ALPHALIS report. Next slide, please. So deadline of submission for the plotted template. For December 1, these are for employees hired from January to November 2022. And for January 2, 2023, these are for employees hired on December 2022. So that is all for encoding previous employer information. Thank you for listening. Back to you, Ms. Jubel.
Thank you, Ms. Raven. So I do hope our participants were able to capture how to encode previous employer information properly on the ePayroll system and what is needed aside from encoding the information on the ePayroll system, what we need to accomplish and submit to Titanium, which is the previous employer information template. We should be filling that out. If you don't have a copy of the template, we'll ensure that it is included in your post-webinar kit. So that's going to be sent after the webinar. We're going to include the template so you have a copy and you just need to submit that back to us so we can have it uploaded on the system. So this activity is going to be done simultaneously. So the encoding on ePayroll and also the submission of your template. So for our third topic today, we do have changing the earning classification as our topic number 3. And this is going to be discussed by no other than Ms. Lizbeth Sigua. Ms. Beth, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Jubel. Good morning, everyone. For today's topic, I have 2 topics for today. One is on how to update the tax status and the earning classification in ePayroll system. Next slide, please. To update the tax status in ePayroll, we have here the procedure. One is we go to the master file under ePayroll homepage, then employee, type the last name or the ID number of the employees, then click search. Under employment tab, proceed in the update of tax status, then click update button to save. Next slide, please. This is the sample screen under employment tab, the tax status. Next slide, please. Under tax status, we have here the selections of tax from Z to married. Then click update on the lower part of the screen to effect the changes in tax status. Next slide, please. Our next is the change of the tax exemption. But how? Again, we will go to the ePayroll homepage, go to master file, then employee. Again, type the last name or the ID number of the employees, then click search. Under other tabs, proceed in the update of tax exemption. You may choose under exempt if the employee is a MWE and non-exempt if not. Then click update other information to save. This is the sample screen under ePayroll. Tab others. Then again, for the exemptions of MWE status, we have tax exempt and exempt. So again, click update other information to effect the changes. That's all for now. Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Jubel.
That was a rather short topic, but definitely this is part of our process. This should be included, of course, in your year-end tax activities as you conduct your tax reconciliation. We should be updating or tagging our employees with the correct earning classification, whether they are MWE or non-MWE. At this point, I'll be opening the floor for questions. If you are on your mobile device, you can open a browser and you can point the browser to slido.com, key in the code 3553324, click on the blue arrow to join the Q&A box. We do have 2 questions on the queue. Let's check them out. The first is, do we still need to fill out the Excel template for previous employer, even if we have encoded in ePayroll? If yes, can we have a copy of the template? So I'll be taking this question. Yes, both processes have to be done. You still need to encode information on ePayroll, the one that Ms. Raven had shared earlier, and on the template on the Excel template. So for the copy of the template, it's going to be included in your post-webinar kit, which is going to be sent after this webinar. Okay, so I hope that's clear for everyone, for all our participants. I hope that's very much clear. Thank you for the question. Let me close that out. We have our second question. Is it possible to extend the deadline for the submission of the template? Our participant was not aware of the deadline. Our dear speakers, would anyone know if we can have an extension on the submission date? Miss Raven or Miss Beth or Miss Mary? Do we extend? Can we extend that?
Miss
Yes.
Raven, can you answer this question? If the deadline can be extended in submitting the template for the previous employer?
Maybe we can extend for January to November 2022 new hired employees until January 2, 2023. Thank you.
Thanks, Miss Raven, for the feedback. I hope that was clear on the extension of the deadline. As you may just have been made aware today during this webinar that there is a deadline, but definitely that's we can have that extended, of course, for your convenience. So let me close out the question on that. Again, to all our participants, if you have any questions about changing the earning classification, encoding previous employer information, especially the mapping on 2316, let us know. The floor is open right now for your questions. So point your browser on any of your devices, be it mobile device, desktop, or laptop, to slido.com and key in the code 3553324. Click on the blue arrow to join the Q&A box. Alternatively, you can scan the QR code flashed on screen using your QR code scanner, and you'll be directed again to our Q&A box. If you have any questions, doubts, or clarification, let it be known, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to answer your question. I think in ePayroll, it's quite straightforward when we're updating the earning classification. It was a rather quick topic, but if any of our participants have questions on that, on those processes, let us know. I'm going to give it another minute for our participants to have the chance to raise questions about the first three topics before we go on a 5-minute break. So we're gonna have a 5-minute break, 5-minute water break after this. So let me give it a few seconds. Maybe there are still questions coming up on screen. Let's see. I deem that our participants are becoming more ready to do their year-end tax activities, because we have just a few questions today. Good on you. So let me close the second Q&A session, and we're gonna go on a 5-minute break. It's 10:55 in the morning, and we'll get back very shortly at 11. So we'll come back, stay tuned, and get some get some water, coffee, as we continue topics 4 and 5 when we come back. Thank you. Stay tuned. And we're back. So our 5-minute break is over, and we'll continue with the next topic that we have on our agenda for today's webinar. Our next topic is all about BIR 2316, a very interesting topic, and the alpha list. So again, it's all about conducting your year-end tax activity. Definitely, these components are very important. And we have our speaker, Miss Mary Adlawan, to discuss more about these components. Miss Mary, the floor is yours.
Okay. So our next topic is about BIR Form 2316 and Alpha List Report. Next slide. So this is our 2316 form, how it looks like. So we have, by the way, this is the old version. We have a new version September 2021. So this one is January 2018. So in box 1, we have the previous or the tax year. Current year 2022. For the box 2, we had the employment period either from January 1 up to December 31, 2022. Then the box 4, it contains the taxpayer name or employee name. Then box 12, employer TIE number. Box 13, previous employer name if she has a previous employer. Then box 25 is the previous tax withheld if an employee has previous tax withheld from previous employer. Box 27, it is an income below 250,000, both for MWE and non-MWE. Basic salary, that most basic salary is falls below 250,000 should be mapped under box 27. For the latest 2316, it is box 29. For box 28, we have holiday pay for minimum wage earner. Box 29, we have non-taxable overtime pay for minimum wage earner. Box 30, non-taxable night shift differential for minimum wage earner. Box 31 for the hazard pay for the minimum wage earner. Box 32, this is for the 13th month pay and other bonuses or other benefits that falls 90K and above. I know 90K and below, sorry. 90K and below, both minimum wage earner and non-minimum wage earner. For box 33, which is the de minimis benefits, both minimum and non-minimum wage earner. Box 34, this is for ECCs, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and Union Dues for minimum wage earner and non-minimum wage earner. Then box 35, other non-taxable allowance and excess that declared by the employer. For box 38, we have representation. Box 37 here is the basic pay net of statutory income taxable for non-minimum wage earner. Box 39 is for transportation allowance. Box 40, cost of living allowance. 41, housing allowance. Then 42, other like adjustment or other allowances that are not specified here that is subject to tax. Then another is in box 23, such as commission, profit sharing in box 44. Box 45 is fees including director's fee. Then 46 is the third excess or taxable 13th month pay in excess of 90K tax ceiling. Box 47 is the hazard pay. Box 48 is the overtime pay. Then box 49 is other adjustments such as overtime, so you can, or other supplementary income that is subject to tax. And then in box 50 is the gross taxable income. So how to generate the alpha list report and BIR 2316 report in ePayroll. So first we have to log in ePayroll homepage, then go to report. And for the alpha list, we have to choose the alpha list of employees from home taxes withheld exempt or non-exempt version 7.2020. This is the latest alpha list report from the BIR. Then we have to indicate the year, which is 2020 or 2022 for now, for today. So, in 2022, okay. So next, for 2316, we have to select the BIR form 2316 formatted. January 2018, ANC is version 2021.01. So this is for the previous year. So for the latest 2316, I think we will announce for the advisory na lang for the new report because we are still working on it. So to map our income, so for example, here we have, for example, sample number 1, non-MWE employee whose income from previous employer is below 250K, bonuses and other 13th month pay also below 290K. So this is how it will compute it. So for the gross pay from previous employer, 178,500, for example. So it composed of basic pay, net of statutory 150,000, 13th month pay 15,000, de minimis 5,000, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig and Union, total of 8,500. So total ng taxable income here is 28,500. Then taxable income is 150,000. So for example, an employee income from present employer or latest employer is 450,000. 13th month pay is 75,000. The minimum 12,000. SSS, PhilHealth and Pag-ibig is 20,800. Total of basic benefit of statutory is 342,200. So the total ng taxable income here is the same of 9,500. Ano siya? So 107,800. Sorry, this is the wrong amount, 20,800. So we have to deduct, for example lang this one. So we have a total of 429,000 for the taxable compensation income. Add previous employer income, which is 150,000, a total of 579,200. Gross compensation. So we have to look for the tax annualized table that we presented earlier. So it belongs to the 400,000 bracket. Then we have to deduct that in excess of the 400,000, since 92,000 is multiplied into tax rate as declared under that table, which is 25%. So the product is 23,000. Add the fixed tax for the first 400,000, which is 30,000. So total tax due for an employee is 53,000. Then if an employee has tax withheld from January to December, a total of 43,000. So the remaining 10,000 is tax payable for the month of December. So amount of taxes withheld as adjusted is still the same with the tax due, which is 53,000. So to map it under 2316 and alpha list report. So this employee belong to Schedule 1 since she is not a minimum wage earner. So Schedule 1 and gross pay from previous employer and alpha list we can find it in their box 12A. Then in 2316, none. So we cannot find it in 2316. Then the basic pay, which is need of statutory and alpha list report, box 12G. If that salary is taxable in 2316 box 22. Then 13th month pay in alpha list box 12B. In 2316, none. The de minimis income in alpha list found in box 12C. In 2316, none. The total statutory such as SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, and Union found in box 12, 12D, 2316, none. Total non-taxable income from previous employer in alpha list found in box 12F. In 2316, none. Then the total taxable income from previous employer found in 12G in alpha list, 2316 box 22. So if you notice here, the income from previous employer, only the taxable income will appear in the latest 2316 found in box 22. So all the rest, non-taxable income from previous employer will not be reflected in the latest 2316 BIR form from the latest employer. So, okay, to continue with, we have the present compensation gross income. We can find it in the alpha list report under box 7A, then 2316 box 19. The 13th month pay non-taxable, since this is still part of the 90,000, 75,000 plus 15,000 from previous total of 90K. So in alpha list, we can find it in box 7B. 2316 box 34. The de minimis income in alpha list under box 7C. 2316 box 35. Statutory is PhilHealth, Pag-ibig in alpha list box 7D. Then 2316 box 36. Basic pay net of statutory alpha list box 7G. Then 2316 box 39. Total non-taxable income from present employer in alpha list box 7F. 2316 box 38 and box 20. Total taxable compensation income from present employer, box 7J, 2316 box 21. Then we have to add the taxable compensation income from previous employer, which is 150,000 in box 12J. So in 2316, as I said, box 22. And then the gross total taxable compensation from both previous and present employer, box 13 in alpha list. Then 2316 is box 23. For the tax due, we have box 14 in alpha list, then box 24 in 2316. Tax withheld from January to November for present employer, we have box 15B in alpha list, then box 25A and latest 2316. Tax withheld from previous, if there is, so in alpha list box 15A, then 2316 box 25B. Tax payable in alpha list box 16A. Then amount of taxes withheld as adjusted in Alpha List Box 17. Then 2316 Box 26. So we have added boxes here, box 28 and 29 for the latest 2316. As of now, we still don't have mapping in Alpha List. So the box 27 is the 5% tax benefit.
There seems to be an internet connection challenge on the line of Miss Mary. Once she comes back, she'll continue with her sample computations for this part of her topic. So for box 27 and 28, as she had mentioned, these two items are not yet mapped on the alpha list. And we are also presenting here, she mentioned that the box 27 is for the 5% pera. One moment as we get Miss Mary back online. Let's stand by as she gets back to the session. Thank you, and please continue to stand by.
Hello, Miss Job, dinig niyo na po ba ako?
Yes, Miss Mary, you're back. Welcome back.
Okay, so what topic did I start here? So, okay.
Boxes 27 and 28, Miss Mary.
Okay. Box 27 and 28. For box 27 and 28, so as of now, we don't have mapping it in the alpha list. Box 27 is the added boxes for the 5% pera tax benefits. Then box 28 is the total for box 26 and 27. So as of the moment, we don't have yet mapping for the alpha list. Then we have waiting for further announcement from the BIR if there is an upcoming enhancement or new alpha list report to accommodate the 5% tax benefits from PERA. So, okay, next slide, please. Another sample here, non-NWE. Income from previous employer is below 250K. Bonuses and other 13th month pay is above 90K. So, sir, we have here the summary of income from previous employer. For example, the basic pay, the gross income is 230. It composed with a basic pay of 108,000, net of statutory. Then 13th month pay, 100,000. Is PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and Union is 12,000. De minimis allowances is 10,000. A total of 230,000 for a gross income. So we're going to identify here the non-taxable for the 13th month fee is only 90,000. So add the minimum and this is we have a total of non-taxable of 112,000. Then taxable basic net of statutory is 100,000. So we have to add the 10,000 in excess of the 190K tax ceiling for the bonuses. So the total taxable income from previous employer is 118,000. So if an employee has a gross compensation from present employer for a total of 450,000, basic salary is 342,200. Then 13th month fee, 75,000. SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig is 20,800. The minimum is 12,000. So the total non-taxable income from present employer is only 32,800. Why? Because the 13th month pay here is no longer non-taxable. Automatic, the 13th month pay here is subject to tax because the 90K tax ceiling already covered from previous employer. So the total taxable income from present employer is already is now 417,200. Add taxable compensation income from previous employer, which is 118,000. The gross taxable compensation is 535,000. So if we're going to look it into the annualized bracket, so those bracket still belong to 400,000. We have to list the 400,000. Then the excess is, we have to multiply it in 25%. So the product is 33,800. Add the fixed tax for the first 400,000 income, which is 30,000. Total tax due is 63,800. Tax withheld from present employer from January to November, for example, 55,000. So tax payable for the month of December is 8,800. So in Alpha List report, this employee can be seen in Schedule 1. So the mapping for the income from previous employer, gross income in Alpha List found in box 12A, 2316 none. The basic pay 12G and 2316 none. The non-taxable 13th month pay, which is 90,000, found in box 12B and 2316 none. The 12,000 SSS or statutory deductions found in box 12D in Alpha List, 2316 none. The 10,000 de minimis in Alpha List 12C in 2316 none. Total non-taxable income in Alpha List 12F in 2316 none. Taxable income basic salary plus the excess of the 10,000 here. In 2316, isang box lang, 22, box 22. But in Alpha List, the total basic is in box 12. Then the 10,000 in excess of the 13th month pay is in box 12 each. Then the total taxable in box 12J. For the gross compensation income from present employer, which is 450,000 in Alpha List, it will map under box 7E, no, 7A, then box 19 and 2316. Basic pay and The SCC is in box 7D, and 2316 box 36. The de minimis in box 7C, 2316 box 35. Total non-taxable income box 7F. Then in 2316 box 38 and box 20. The basic pay net of statutory income box 7G. And 2316 box 39. 13th month pay and other bonuses in alpha list box 7H. Then 2316 box 48. Taxable compensation income from present employer box 7J. 2316 box 21. The 2316 boxes here is the latest 2316 version September 21, 2021 na po. Yung presentation ng mga boxes dito. And then for the gross taxable compensation income in alpha list box 13, then 2316 box 23. For the tax due, so still in alpha list box 14, then 2316 box 24. Tax withheld from January to November in alpha list box 12, box 15B. Then 2316 box 25A. Tax withheld from previous employer if there is, box 15A. Then 2316 box 25B. The amount of tax withheld as adjusted, or in alpha list box 17, and then in alpha list box 17 to 2316 box 26. The tax payable, tax refund in alpha list box 16A, it will not reflect in box in 2316 before. So still box 27 is no mapping in alpha list. If an employee has a PERA, so the 5% tax benefits under PERA will be found in box 27 in 2316. In alpha list, we don't have mapping yet as of this moment. Okay, next slide, please. For sample number 3, if an employee is MWE, let's say, for example, this employee has also a previous employer. For example, here, gross income from previous employer is 230,000. Basic pay net of statutory is 108,000. 13th month pay from previous employer is 100,000. Then the de minimis allowances is 10,000. Statutory is 12,000. Then, and present employer, if the employee is still the same MWE, so for example, here is 182,800 for the gross income. Then the basic fee is 150,000 net of statutory. 13th month fee is 13,000. Then the de minimis is 12,000. Then SSS, Pag-ibig and PhilHealth is 20,800. Total non-taxable income is 182,000. So, the total non-taxable income here is not 182,000. Less ang 13,000 here is subject to taxable income because the 90K tax ceiling, the 13th month pay is already exceeded from previous employer. So for the tax mapping, for the alpha list mapping, income mapping in 2316 and alpha list, the minimum wage earner can be found in alpha list report under schedule number 2. So for the box 12A, we can find in the gross income from previous employer, then 2316 then basic income net of statutory previous employer, box 12B, 2316 13th month pay and other bonuses, non-taxable, alpha list box 12G, the 90K,000, then alpha list 2316 then the de minimis, alpha list box 12H, 2316 SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig 12I in alpha list, 2316 none. The total non-taxable from previous employer in box 12K in alpha list, 2316 none. Then the total taxable income from previous employer box 12L in alpha list, box 22 in 2316. Then the total in box 12 in. This is the sum of box 12 in to 12L. So box 22 in to 316. For the present employer, the gross compensation income can be found in box 7E, 2316 box 19, basic pay net of statutory box 7F, 2316 box 29, 13th month pay and other bonuses, 13,000 box 7K, box 34 in 2316. De minimi in 12,000 box 7L, box 35 and 2316. SSS box 7M, 2316 box 36. The total and taxable income from present employer box 70 in alpha list, box 38 and 2316 or box 20. The net basic pay non-taxable box 7R and alpha list, if there is. Then 2316 box 21. Then taxable income from previous is box 12 in, box 22 into 316. The gross taxable income in box 13. Then 2316 box 23. So tax due is 0. So since the income is less than in 250K still, there is no tax due to be computed for that certain employee. Okay. So this is how it looks like our DAT file for the alpha list report. For the schedule 1, this is the employee summary report, D1. It composed the employee list of employees, the D1. And then here, yan, D1, it composed 1604C, which is the annualized compensation report, BIR form compensation report, then the tax or TIN of the employer, next in 1604C, then the period cover as of December 31. So ibig sabihin for the year 2021, the example here is the year 2021, then followed by the name, family name, first name, the middle name, then followed by region, in CR here, for example, in CR, then followed by the income, then period covered from, say, for example, March 5 to December 31. So this one. So the D1, yung lahat na makikita niyo dito is yung mga list of name. Then under C1, the amount that reflected in C1 is the total amount of the employees listed in D1. So if you notice, total amount na po yung sa C1, hindi po yung paisa-isa, na unlike sa previous report from the BIR na yung total taxable income still reflected here in the C1. But sa ngayon hindi na po. So total na po siya. Lahat ng D1 employees po yung magre-reflect dito. For example, total taxable income, 590,000, 5,903,529.30. It is the gross income. So followed by the non-taxable, 1,047,877. This is for the 13th month period. So, and so on. So that's so. Lahat na nagre-reflect sa C1 is the total amount of the day 1 employees or under Schedule 1 employees. Then for the D2, so this is the Schedule 2 for the minimum wage earner. D2 is the list of employees under minimum wage earner and the respective income. Then C2 is the total income of all employees listed under D2 or Schedule 2. Can be found in the C2 report for the DAT file. So this is the one. This is the file that we are going to upload in the BIR validation report in AlphaList. Okay, next slide, please. For the soft copy that we are going to submit in the BIR or our own copy, so this is how it looks like, PDF format. The first one or the first page, it composed of the detailed from present employer income. Then the second page is the detailed from previous employer income. And the third page is the detailed of taxable income from both present and employer, as well as the tax due, tax withheld, and tax adjusted. If an employee has previous employer, wherein she has also tax withheld from previous employer, so tax due and amount of tax withheld is not equal in our latest AlphaList report. Let's say, for example, an employee has total tax due of 3,000, then 1,000 withheld from previous employer. So the total tax withheld from present employer, which is 2,000, is the amount that will reflect in the amount of tax withheld as adjusted. So the amount that will reflect and the amount of tax withheld as adjusted is the tax withheld from the latest employer. It does not include the tax withheld from previous employer. Unlike the AlphaList before, the tax due is equals to amount of tax withheld as adjusted. Okay. So next slide, please. For this AlphaList report of minimum wage earner or Schedule 2, this is how it looks like. We have more columns here than the regular AlphaList. In the minimum wage earner, we can find it indicates here the minimum wage daily wage earner, then the basic is per month, at saka yung day divisor or factor you use per region. For the previous employer, we have the same detail but different in boxes per column. Same as in the last page. Same treatment if an employee has tax withheld from previous employer. So we have, we will expect that the tax due is not equal from the amount of tax withheld as adjusted. So again, the amount that will reflect in box 17 or amount of tax withheld as adjusted is the tax withheld from the latest employer. So if an employee don't have deduction or tax withheld from previous employer, so tax due is equals to amount of tax withheld as adjusted. So that is the difference between the previous alpha list and the latest alpha list report from the BIR. Next, please. So, okay, I think that's the end of my report. So another topic is about 1% differential to be discussed by Rebecca. Miss Ju?
Thank you, Miss Mary, for facilitating the discussion about BIR 2316 and the alpha list. For our topic 5, this is the last topic on the webinar. We have the PHIC 1% differential, a very hot topic this year, and it's going to be talked about by Ms. Raven Macabenta. Ms. Raven, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Jovel. And for our last topic, we have PHIC 1% differential. So we all know that premium rate for the PHIC contribution has increased from 3% to 4% effective January 2022, stated on this advisory from PhilHealth. But it was only announced later this year. And to comply with the adjustment, 1% differential will be computed manually and uploaded on the system as an ad hoc. Next slide, please. So please use DED110 deduction code on your ad hoc for the manually computed PHIC 1% differential, so it will be added on employees' tax deductible premiums. Showing on the screen is a sample of employees' payslip with uploaded ad hoc. It will show on the deduction side of employees' payslip. PHIC 1% differential 300.90. So this is a sample of employees' year-end payslip. PHIC 1% differential is included on column others with the amount of 300.90. If we add all the employees' government statutory, we will come up with the sum of 19,359.30 that will show on the next slide, the annualized tax computation screen. So this is a sample of ALPALIS report with the same total amount of 19,359.30 on SSS, GSIS, PHIC, HDMF contribution, and union dues column, employee share only. Next slide is the BIR 2316 report with the same amount of 19,359.30 showing on box 34. And for our last slide, we have PHIC remittance report wherein the 1% deduction is not included. That is all for the PHIC 1% differential presentation. Ms. Jobel, take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Raven, for the very quick, but very clear. That was a clear illustration of our PHIC 1% differential. What our participants need to do to address the 1% differential on the ePayroll system. Now I am going to open the floor for the third and final Q&A session. To raise questions, you may open a browser on your mobile device, desktop, or laptop and point that to slido.com. Type in the code 3553324 and click on the blue arrow to join the Q&A session. You can simply type your question and then press on send. It's going to be flashed right away on screen. And alternatively, if you have a QR code scanner on your device, you can scan the QR code flashed right now to get you directed to the Q&A box. Feel free to type in the question. So let's give time for our participants to come up with their questions and type it in the Q&A box. To our dear speakers, does anyone have any additional insights that you may want to share with our participants while we have you on this webinar? Miss Mary, Miss Raven, Miss Beth, would you have any other additional insights that you'd like to share with everyone? None. I don't. I think there's, I think everything was said, was mentioned a while ago, especially the processes. We just need to ensure that whatever we encode on the system, the information is correct, it's accurately correct, so as to avoid having any rectification or any correction later on. We want to ensure, of course, that our year-end tax activity is error-free, and it begins with the information that we encode on the system. So let's ensure that. So the floor is still open for questions for the Q&A. Slido.com, that's a website to go to on your mobile device, desktop or laptop. Just open a browser and go to this website, type in the code 3553324 so you can go ahead and raise your question. If you have any doubts, clarification, or anything at all that you'd like to ask our speakers about the year-end tax activity, please raise your questions on slido.com. And you can also scan the QR code if you're having some trouble getting the browser to work. You can scan the QR code on screen using your QR code scanner, and you'll be directed to the Q&A box. So let's give it another minute for our participants to raise their questions, given the opportunity to have our speakers answer the questions. So we just want to really ensure that we don't have questions about these components. So we've listed all these items, all these topics that we deem necessary for us to successfully conduct our year-end tax activities. Coming right up is our self-rating. I do hope that our participants who rated themselves with a 2 at the start of our webinar, I hope that you are still on slido.com. I do hope, because my next item here is now that you have listed your now that we know that we have this knowledge from our speakers, knowledge and expertise have been shared, and all these processes have been shared with you today. How are you rating yourself now in terms of your readiness to conduct your year-end tax activities, of course, on the ePayroll system? So how do you rate your readiness in independently doing your year-end tax activities on ePayroll? So this is, if you are on slido.com with the code 3553324, it should have change screens, and you should be seeing this question with the rating. the lowest rate would be, I will need more help to do this. And the highest would be, I'm so ready to do it. I'm so prepared to do it. So you just need to press in the rating and click on send. So we do have, wow, that's a good rating. That places us on a higher rating. So the general population right now getting 100% on the rating of 4.0. So from the initial rating of 2.0, we're getting a rating now of 4.0, 100%. If you are still on this on slido.com, please rate yourself. Please honestly rate yourself how ready you are with in independently doing your year-end tax activities. So please do rate your, I'm going to give another 30 seconds. So we have another response. We have rating of 3. So that brings our general population rating of 3.7, but that's still better than the initial rating that we had, which is 2.0. So it still has increased. Definitely it signals us, it gives us that idea that our participants have noted all these key components and processes that they need to do, in order to have a successful year-end activity on the ePayroll system. Let me just quickly go back to the Q&A box, because I can see that there is a question on queue. And this is, I think, a question to any of our speakers. What is the de minimis income? That is the question that we have in the queue. It was left on the queue a while ago. To our dear speakers, anyone may answer that or may provide their feedback or insights on this. Miss Mary, Miss Beth, or Miss Raven, please do share your feedback on this. What is the de minimis income? That's a question that's posted by one of our participants today. So there are questions being posted now. We're getting questions now on the queue. There's actually a list of we had several slides a while ago addressing the de minimis income, so what it actually is. But I think Miss Mary would be the best person to provide her insights on this, if in case there's like a deeper idea on what the de minimis income is. Miss Mary, would you be able to take on the question? Or Miss Janine?
Yes, hi everyone. So the minimum income in nature these are benefits that are benefits given by the company to employees that are relatively small. That's why they're called the minimum benefits.
Do you have like a sample, Miss Janine, of like what companies usually, I don't know, give? Is it like laundry allowance?
Yeah. Those are examples of the minimum. In the previous slides, I think we've listed the minimum examples that are exempt for taxes.
Thanks, Miss Janine, for the feedback. on that. And I hope that's clear to our participants. Anyway, the slides, all our supplementary materials will be shared with you. So you can review the definition and the components, of course, the tax activity components that we have listed. It's going to be in our supplementary materials, and that's going to be part of your post-webinar kit. It's going to be shared with all our participants today. So thank you, Ms. Jenny, for the feedback. Let me close out this question on the de minimis income. Next up is, what is the PARA Act? So what is it in the general sense? One of our participants is curious about the PARA law or the act itself. So what is it all about? Oh, Miss Mary, your line is now open.
Okay. The PERA Act, it is the new tax incentive for those, let's say, for example, there's an retirement plan. And then that's retirement plan where the employee invested the BIR, so they will be receiving 5 per PERA investment PERA. Or
Miss Mary, your line is cutting in and out. Can you repeat that one more time for our participants to be able to hear what you just mentioned?
PERA Act is the voluntary retirement account that aim to provide Filipinos a tax-exempt facility. It is for the future pension benefits from SSS, GSAs, and other employees. It's called Personal Equity and Retirement Account Act of 2008. It's parang investment of an employee as part of their retirement account. So an employee can enjoy a 5% PERA benefits, 5% PERA tax credit benefits if the administrator or the employer or whom the employee invests the retirement plan also registered or accredited from the BIR.
I think that's a straightforward answer on the PERA Act. Thank you, Miss Mary, for the feedback. Would you happen to have maybe we can add this also as one of our supplementary materials, and it's going to be published on our knowledge base. I'm going to add that to your post-webinar kit to all our participants so that you'll also understand about this particular item on the new format of the BIR 2316. As previously mentioned, this one is on box 27 of the new BIR 2316 with the September 2021 published advisory. So I do hope there's clarity on this item. So let me close that out. We have our last question on the queue. Is the de minimis income non-taxable?
Yes.
Yes, it's a yes from Miss Mary. Hello, Miss Mary. But it's a yes. It's a yes. I heard Miss Mary say acknowledge the question, and she said yes, the de minimis income is non-taxable.
Hi, to help Mary Lang answer this question. So the minimum income is non-taxable for all up to the ceiling that was listed in the tax code. Ito yung mga ceiling that was listed earlier, like rice subsidy, laundry allowance. Up to that ceiling, de minimis is non-taxable. But in excess of that, the excess will form part of the 90K, and the excess of the 90K will then form part as taxable income.
Thank you, Miss Janine, for clearing that up for our participant on the nature of our de minimis income, if it's non-taxable or if it is taxable. And with that, let me close that out. Let me close out that question and move on to the year-end tax reconciliation service package. So in case that you still find yourself that you're still not ready to conduct your year-end tax activities independently, and that you need support from us, or that you need to engage with us for the tax reconciliation, if you'd like us to work that out with you, we do have our year-end tax reconciliation service package, and it starts at 20,000 pesos. So you just need to contact our help desk for a price quotation, because it really depends on the scope of work that we are to engage with you. So contact our help desk, that's helpdesk@titanium.ph for a price quotation. And since we are ending our current webinar, of course, we'd love to hear your feedback on how this webinar had gone for you. Please do take a moment to answer our 3-minute survey about today's webinar. The link is in the chat box. Click on that and provide us feedback, so that on our next webinars, we'll definitely apply those suggestions and improve how our events are going. And as we conclude today's webinar, let us bear in mind that we have achieved the 3 objectives. So we have listed the key components of conducting the tax reconciliation. Second is, our facilitators, our speakers have shared with you the relevant information and reports that we all need for the year-end tax activity, and we have evaluated our readiness to do the year-end tax activities using the ePayroll system. Again, we have a general population rating of 3.7 as shown a while ago. Please expect your post-webinar kit to be sent to you next week. It will contain all the information that's been shared with you today. along with the recording link of this webinar and all of the supplementary materials and templates, including the encoding previous employer information template that's been shared by Ms. Raven a while ago. To our subject matter experts and speakers, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. The webinar would not have been possible without your guidance and support. To all our dear participants who are with us since this morning, thank you for your time. We very much appreciate your time and we value your business. Thank you all for participating. Enjoy the rest of your day and we look forward to seeing you in our future webinars. Thank you all for participating. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. You may now disconnect, everyone. Thank you.